The dining room glowed with soft candlelight, but the air was thick with tension. My sister-in-law, Vanessa, leaned across the polished table, her lips curling into a smug grin. "Such a shame you and Nathan can't have kids," she said, her voice laced with mock sympathy. My husband, Nathan, chuckled lightly, his eyes glinting. "Guess we needed better genes to pass on." His words stung like a slap, but I kept my face calm, my heart pounding. Slowly I stood, forcing a smile, and handed him a thick manila folder. The table fell silent. No one knew what was inside. Nathan's fingers hesitated before flipping it open. His smile vanished, his face paling as he scanned the contents. I turned, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor, and walked out without a backward glance, the weight of their stares burning into my back. Later that evening I sat in a cozy cafe with my best friend, Chloe, her warm hand squeezing mine across the table. "Ellie, you're practically glowing," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Marriage to Nathan suits you." I twirled the silver ring on my finger, a shy smile spreading across my face. 6 months into my marriage with Nathan, and I still felt like I was floating on a cloud. "I keep waiting for the catch," I admitted, stirring my latte. "It's almost too perfect." Chloe laughed, her curly hair bouncing. "You deserve this, Ellie. After what happened with Mark, you've earned every second of happiness." Mark. The name alone made my stomach twist. My ex had shattered my trust when he cheated with my college roommate, leaving me questioning love itself. But Nathan was different. From the moment our mutual friend Leo introduced us at a bustling Portland coffee shop, I knew he was special. "You and Ellie are made for each other," Leo had said, practically dragging Nathan to my table. "You both love those obscure indie films no one else gets." Nathan, clutching a steaming cappuccino, flashed a nervous smile. "Leo claims you're the only person in Portland who liked that 5-hour Danish movie about the lighthouse keeper." I burst out laughing, nearly spilling my coffee. It wasn't about a lighthouse. It was about human isolation. Nathan's eyes lit up. "Exactly why we need to talk." He slid into the chair across from me, and we lost track of time. The cafe emptied, but we were too busy talking about his job at a graphic design firm, his dream of backpacking through Patagonia, his obsession with vintage vinyl records. I shared my work at a community arts center, my fear of heights, and my secret love for baking elaborate cakes. "I've got a confession," Nathan said as we finally gathered our things, the cafe's lights dimming. "I didn't actually watch that movie. I just wanted an excuse to meet you." His honesty caught me off guard and my heart skipped a beat. No pretense, just a guy who wanted to know me. The next 6 months were a whirlwind of joy. Nathan would show up at the arts center with homemade cookies, claiming he was just in the neighborhood, even though his office was across town. We'd spend weekends exploring Portland's foggy streets, ducking into quirky antique shops or sharing steaming bowls of ramen at hole-in-the-wall restaurants. One evening, as we strolled along the Willamette River, Nathan stopped and took my hands. "Ellie, you make the world brighter," he said, his voice soft. "You find magic in every little moment." The proposal came during a camping trip in the Columbia River Gorge. We'd hiked to a hidden waterfall, the mist rising from the rocks. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Nathan dropped to one knee. He held out a delicate ring with a small sapphire, knowing I loved unique pieces over traditional diamonds. "I know it's only been 6 months," he said, his voice trembling with emotion, "but I can't imagine my life without you. Ellie, will you marry me?" Tears streamed down my face as I nodded. "Yes." He pulled me into his arms, spinning me under the stars, our laughter echoing through the trees. Our wedding was simple but perfect, a small ceremony in my parents' backyard, surrounded by fairy lights and wildflowers. My mom worried we were rushing, but even she couldn't deny the love in Nathan's eyes. His parents, Margaret and George, welcomed me with open arms, and Vanessa, his sister, seemed thrilled to have a new sister-in-law. "Your family now," she said, hugging me tightly after the ceremony. Our honeymoon in a tiny Sicilian village was like a dream. We rented a stone cottage overlooking rolling hills, spending our days wandering through olive groves and sipping espresso in sunlit piazzas. Nathan would wake early to make coffee, and we'd sit on our balcony, planning adventures as the sunrise bathed the world in gold. "I want to hold on to every second of this," I told him one morning, my head resting on his shoulder. "We've got a lifetime to make more memories," he replied, kissing my forehead. Back in Portland, we bought a charming fixer-upper with a wild, overgrown garden. Nathan would come home with sunflowers from the market, calling them just because gifts. We built routines that felt like home. Wednesday nights were for experimenting with new recipes, though Nathan's cooking skills were comically bad. We'd burn casseroles or overspice soups, then order pizza, laughing until tears streamed down our faces. "You know what I love about being married?" Nathan said one night, wiping sauce off his shirt. "Having you to share these disasters with. Weekends were our haven. We'd sleep in, tangled in blankets, talking about everything from silly dreams to big plans. I want to build something real with you," Nathan said one lazy Sunday, sunlight streaming through our bedroom window. A home, a family, all of it. The idea of kids felt exciting but distant. We'd watch families at the park or visit friends with babies, imagining our future. "I hope our kids have your laugh," Nathan would say, brushing my hair back. "And your knack for fixing things," I'd reply, picturing little hands helping in our garden. But by month 9 something changed. Nathan started staying late at work, coming home distracted, his eyes darting to his phone. When I asked about his day, he'd mutter, "Just busy," and change the subject. I tried to shrug it off, marriages have ups and downs, right? But then baby magazines started appearing on our coffee table, pages marked with notes about cribs and diaper brands. One morning, Nathan slid his phone across the breakfast table. "Look at this stroller. It's got shock absorbers." I stared, my coffee growing cold. "Why are we looking at strollers now?" I asked. "For when we have kids," he said, as if it were obvious. His excitement felt forced, almost desperate. "Shouldn't we talk about when we want kids?" I asked cautiously. Nathan's jaw tightened, a flash of impatience in his eyes. "Ellie, we've been married almost a year. Most couples start trying by now." Most couples. The words felt like a judgment, like I was falling behind some invisible schedule. That night, I found him measuring our guest room, muttering about nursery layouts. "This could be perfect for a crib," he said, not meeting my eyes. My chest tightened. When had our shared dreams become his demands? The next few weeks were suffocating. Every conversation somehow turned to babies. At dinner with friends, Nathan would rave about their kids' milestones. Watching movies, he'd point out parenting tips. Even grocery shopping became a lecture on baby food brands. "Chloe's pregnant again," he said one evening, scrolling through his phone. "Their third in 5 years. Makes you wonder why it's not happening for us." The words hit like a stone. Was I letting him down? I started avoiding family gatherings, dreading the inevitable question, "When are you two having kids?" One night, Nathan dropped a bombshell. "My mom asked if we're having fertility issues," he said, his tone casual as he chopped vegetables. I froze, my knife hovering over a carrot. "You talked to Margaret about us?" He shrugged. "She's just concerned." "It's been a year, Ellie." "A year isn't long," I snapped. "It is when you're 34, he shot back, his voice sharp. "I don't have forever." His words cut deep, making me feel like a clock was ticking over my head. Nathan's gaze changed over time. The warmth I used to see was replaced by something colder, like he was sizing me up, judging my worth. "Maybe we should see a doctor," he said one morning, stirring his coffee, "just to check if everything's okay." I blinked, stunned. "I'm not a machine, Nathan." He sighed, exasperated. "You know what I mean. We should rule out issues." The breaking point came at a family dinner at Margaret and George's house. Vanessa and her friend Laura, who was pregnant, were there, along with Nathan's cousin Tim. The conversation, as always, turned to kids. "Laura's due in June," Margaret said, beaming. "Congrats," I said, forcing a smile. Laura grinned, patting her belly. "What about you two? Any baby plans?" Nathan's eyes locked on me, expectant. "We're still figuring it out," I said, my voice tight. Vanessa smirked. "Figuring it out? You've been married a year. What's the holdup?" I bristled. "Some people need time." Laura chimed in. "Time for what?" "You're not getting younger, Ellie." I looked to Nathan for support, but he nodded. "Maybe we're overthinking it," he said, staring at me. "Life doesn't wait for perfect timing." The drive home was silent, the air thick with unspoken words. Inside our house, Nathan exploded. "Do you even want kids?" he demanded. "If you don't, I need to know now." I took a deep breath. "I want kids someday, Nathan, but I want us to be ready together." His eyes narrowed. "When will that be?" "When you're 40. His tone was cruel, not the gentle man I'd married. "This isn't you," I whispered. He didn't respond, his silence louder than any words. Vanessa's behavior grew stranger. She'd always been warm, but now she was overly attentive, showing up with bags of herbal teas and vitamin supplements. "You look exhausted, Ellie," she said one afternoon, setting a bottle of pills on my counter. "These will boost your energy. I swear by them." I picked up a bottle, squinting at the unfamiliar label. "What's in these?" "Oh, women's health stuff," she said vaguely. "Hormones, fertility support, you know." Her pushiness made my skin crawl. Why was she so invested in my health? Her visits became relentless. She'd text to check if I was taking the vitamins, call to ask how I felt, even insist on brewing me tea when she came over. "This chamomile blend is amazing," she said, handing me a steaming mug. "I made it just for you." I thanked her but left the mug untouched, my instincts screaming that something was wrong. One Sunday, I arrived early for dinner at Nathan's parents' house. As I searched for the bathroom, I heard hushed voices from the kitchen, Vanessa and Margaret, speaking in low, urgent tones. "How long do we keep this up?" Vanessa asked. "Until she's gone," Margaret replied coldly. "The doctor said it could take months to fully block her cycle, but we have to stay consistent." My heart stopped. "She's asking questions about the supplements," Vanessa said. "Then put it in her food," Margaret snapped. "She trusts us." I pressed myself against the wall, my breath shallow. "What if Nathan finds out?" Vanessa whispered. "He won't," Margaret said. "He's too busy blaming her for not getting pregnant." My blood ran cold. They were drugging me, deliberately preventing me from conceiving while Nathan grew more frustrated with me. I slipped outside, pretending I just arrived, but my hands trembled so badly I could barely hold my purse. At dinner, Vanessa served me a special salad, her smile too bright. I took a few bites, my stomach churning, wondering how many meals had been tainted. The next morning I called my doctor, Dr. Sharma, and begged for an emergency appointment. "I think someone's tampering with my body," I said, my voice shaking. She ordered a full panel, hormones, toxins, everything. 3 days later she called me back. "Ellie, come in immediately." In her office she showed me the results. "There's a synthetic hormone blocker in your system," she said. "It stops ovulation and implantation. This isn't accidental. It's been administered regularly." The room spun. My own family-in-law had been poisoning me. I turned into a detective. I sent Vanessa's supplements to a private lab, recorded her pushy phone calls, and hid a camera in my kitchen to catch her tampering with my food. The lab confirmed the supplements contained the same hormone blocker. Each piece of evidence fueled my resolve, but a new fear crept in. What else were they hiding? I hired a private investigator, Alex, to dig deeper. What he found was staggering. Nathan's grandfather had left a $20 million inheritance, but it came with a catch. It would be split among any biological heirs. If Nathan had kids, his share would shrink. If he remained childless, he'd get it all. Worse, Alex uncovered a paper trail showing Vanessa had met with the lawyer about the will just 2 months after our wedding. The timing wasn't random. As I gathered evidence, an unexpected ally emerged, Tim, Nathan's cousin. He'd always been quiet at family dinners, but one evening he pulled me aside. "Ellie, something's off with Vanessa and Aunt Margaret," he whispered. "I heard them talking about keeping the plan on track. I don't know what it means, but it's about you." His warning sent chills down my spine. Tim promised to keep an eye out, even slipping me a burner phone to stay in touch safely. "I've never trusted Vanessa," he admitted. "She's always been obsessed with the family fortune." Tim's help was a lifeline. He overheard Vanessa bragging to a friend about a foolproof plan to secure the inheritance. He even found a hidden file on Margaret's laptop, emails with a shady pharmacist about sourcing the hormone blockers. Each revelation tightened the knot in my stomach, but it also strengthened my resolve. Sunday dinner at Nathan's parents' house was my moment. I arrived with my folder of evidence, My wedding ring left at home. Margaret greeted me with her usual fake warmth, and Vanessa served me another special dish. I smiled, my heart racing but my plan clear. During dinner, Nathan mentioned a house in a family-friendly neighborhood. I seized the opening. "That sounds nice," I said, pulling the folder from my purse. "Nathan, I have something for you." He took it, puzzled, and opened it. His face drained of color as he read the lab results, the supplement analysis, the recorded conversations, and Alex's report on the inheritance. "What is this?" he whispered. "Keep reading," I said, turning to the table. "For months, your family has been drugging me to stop me from having kids." Vanessa's glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Margaret froze. "That's ridiculous," Vanessa stammered. "Why would we?" I cut her off. "Because of Nathan's inheritance. $20 million split with any kids. No kids, he gets it all." Nathan's eyes widened. "Inheritance? What are you talking about?" I explained the will, how his grandfather's fortune hinged on whether he had children. Vanessa's face crumpled. "We were protecting you," she cried. "Protecting money by poisoning me?" I shot back. Nathan turned to his family, betrayal etched on his face. "You knew about the will and didn't tell me?" The room exploded. Vanessa admitted everything. Researching drugs, finding suppliers, even paying off a doctor to fake my fertility issues. I pulled out my phone, recording every word. "This is for the police," I said. "Assault, fraud, conspiracy." Vanessa's face went white. "You can't do this." "Watch me," I said and walked out, the door slamming behind me. But the story didn't end there. A week later, Tim called me on the burner phone. "Ellie, there's more," he said, his voice tense. "Vanessa's been meeting with someone. A guy named Victor. I think he's the one supplying the drugs." My heart raced. Victor was a name I'd seen in Alex's report. A pharmacist with a shady past. I met Tim at a diner where he handed me a USB drive. "I copied Vanessa's emails," he said. "She's not just trying to stop you from having kids. She's planning to frame you for stealing from the family business." The emails were chilling. Vanessa had been siphoning money from Nathan's design firm, planting evidence to make it look like I was the thief. If I stayed with Nathan, she'd pin the crime on me, forcing me out of the family and securing the inheritance. The betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. Vanessa wasn't just after the money. She wanted to destroy me. I confronted Nathan at our house, showing him the emails. His face crumpled. "I didn't know, Ellie," he said, tears in his eyes. "I swear I didn't know." But his apologies felt hollow. He'd blamed me for months, never questioning his family's lies. "You chose them over me," I said, sliding divorce papers across the table. "This is over." The next 3 years were a journey of healing and discovery. I moved into a sunny apartment near the arts center, throwing myself into my work. Painting classes with kids became my therapy, their laughter reminding me of my own resilience. I started seeing a therapist, unraveling the pain of betrayal and learning to trust again. Chloe and my sister Rachel were my anchors, hosting movie nights and baking marathons to keep my spirits high. The trial against Vanessa and Margaret was grueling but cathartic. With Tim's evidence and my recordings, they were convicted of assault, fraud, and conspiracy, sentenced to 7 years each. Victor, the pharmacist, was arrested after a police raid uncovered his illegal drug operation. Nathan tried to reach out, begging for a second chance, but I was done. The divorce was finalized, and I sold our house, donating the proceeds to a women's shelter. By year 2, I was ready to open my heart again. I met Lucas at a community art fair. A soft-spoken carpenter with a love for hiking and terrible dad jokes. He was patient, letting me set the pace. One evening, as we sat by a campfire in the mountains, he took my hand. "Ellie, you're the strongest person I know," he said. "I want to build a life with you, no matter what that looks like." His words healed something deep inside me. Now 3 years later, I'm thriving. Lucas and I live in a cozy cabin we renovated together. Our rescue dog, Luna, curled up by the fireplace. We talk about kids sometimes, but there's no pressure, just a shared vision for the future. I started a nonprofit art program for survivors of domestic abuse, using my story to inspire others. My blog, Reclaiming My Voice, has thousands of readers, women who write to me about their own journeys to freedom. As I sit on our porch sketching the sunset, I feel whole. The scars from those years are part of me, but they've shaped me into someone stronger, someone who chooses herself every day. The future is a blank canvas, and I'm ready to paint it with bold, fearless colors.